You already stopped the recording, right? It's not getting recorded right now.
Right, yes. I said we'll start in 2 minutes, so I'll start the recording accordingly.
Okay, cool. Okay, so now we are live on YouTube.
Okay. All right, great, Mukesh. Let's start in 2 more minutes because we still have some time and participants are joining in. Yeah.
No problem. I'll make you host again so that.
That's fine.
Just give me co-host so that in case if I need something, I'll just.
Right. Yes. On.
Mukesh, you are working from home or you're in office?
I'm in office today. I'm in office.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm planning to go to office on Friday.
Okay. So I'll see you there on Friday then. I'm coming to office almost every day. So.
Okay. So Friday I'll be there to collect my laptop.
Okay.
Welcome to Singapore. Yeah.
No, so I have a laptop. So that is a loaned laptop from IT department. So my new laptop has arrived. So I got a notification. So I scheduled that on Friday, 1 o'clock.
Lucky. My laptop. I received my laptop 3 months after I came to Singapore.
Oh no! Even for me also, it's almost 2 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. All right, we are on the clock. I'll start the recording actually while people, all right, I see people joining in. Thank you everyone who's already there on the call. It's great to have you on board. So today we have with us Siran, and I know that he needs no introduction, but Siran has over 17 years of rich experience in the software and sales domain, and he's really our learning evangelist today. He's here today to talk about transformation in the learning workplace. So and tell us a bit more about what are the trends going on and how SAP's learning is SAP's learning portfolio is addressing the needs. So he will even cover something around the learning ecosystem and a few best practices that we can all benefit from today. So over to you, Siran, to really take us through today's session, and I'm sure it's going to be exciting. Thank you.
Thank you, Hema. Can we start now, or we should give 1 more minute to participate to join?
Right. Yes, I see them pouring in, so I think we'll give it a minute or two.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So Siran, it'll be good if you can introduce yourself till then. And I have given a very short brief, but I'm sure you have loads to tell us.
Oh, that's fine. That's not a problem. So my name is Siran Adya. You can call me Siran. So I am working with SAP SuccessFactors from last 7.5 years. I was based in Mumbai till 2020. And recently I moved to Singapore because my role actually expanded. So I am right now that learning COE, global learning COE for the PJ. Or not only SuccessFactors. So my portfolio is SAP WorkZone, SAP SuccessFactors Learning, SAP Litmos. So entire learning ecosystem is my portfolio. So I work with all my strategic customers, my internal colleague, basically sales and services, as well as customer success, even the product management team. And I worked with for business development activities for the different market units. So I generally involved in the sales cycle. If it is strategic customers, it's large customers. That is my priority. But having said that, all my customers, 1,000+ customers in APJ or who are using SuccessFactors Learning, I have that equal priority for them so that they can utilize the systems in a better way. The need for the organizations, it is basically evolving, and the way the organizations wants to use it so they can get best out of it. So that is my introductions and my work areas. But yes, so basically I host sometimes a lot of webinar globally as well as regionally. When I was in India, then basically each and every customers I met, probably over the phone or face to face or probably over the call. So it would be a very interactive sessions to have a conversations with all of you. And please feel free to ask any questions, any topic related to learning in the workplace. And please share with your experience and what are the challenges you are facing nowadays, because the business model is changing because of this pandemic, as well as that digital transformations, for the industrial revolutions of digital transformation is happening across the globe. And there is one more point is coming up with that sustainability for the environment. So that is also a priority for SAP, and we are trying to keep the solutions to keep in mind with all these aspects for the organizations.
Great. That's good to know. Before we begin, Mukesh, I see a lot of new faces on the call today, so it'd be good to know a little bit about you as well. If you can also help us with a quick introduction.
You're asking me?
Yes, I can see you and hear
you. Cool. Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Mukesh Gupta. I work for SAP as Senior Director for Customer Advocacy. My role here is to be the point of contact or the bridge between the SAP world and the customer world. I support user groups in India market unit and Southeast Asia market unit, which is close to about 9 user groups around this region. I work with them closely and try and host or at least be participating in each one of the special interest groups that we have, so that I can hear feedback, which I can take back to SAP, and also answer any questions that people might have around SAP and strategy and where SAP is going from that perspective. I'm really looking forward to this session. Learning is a very, very important part of our daily life, more so given the current circumstances that we are living in. So yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity, and over to you, back to you, Hemlata.
Right, over to you then, Chiran. Let's begin without any further ado. Thank you.
So based on my discussions with Hema, actually, this is the topic we have chosen, or I suggested to Hema, that transformations of workplace learning, because this pandemic from last 1.5 years, whatever that across the globe we are facing. And because of this, that business model is changing, and every organization is trying to adapt the new business model to accept these situations and to continue their business process. So similarly, the employee engagement is one more topic. If the employees are happy, if your employees are engaged, if your employees are basically right skills, what you have, what is required for your business, then that organizations can sustain and can grow in these situations as well. So in that context, that workplace learning is also changing. So how it's impacting? So what I'm going to cover today is that why learning is important now than ever, workplace learning, how it's changing, and SAP Learning for the Intelligent Enterprise, how we are as an SAP organizations, as a leader in that business applications software, how we are aligned with the change is happening, and what would be our solutions, and how the customers can be benefited, and how we are supporting, and we are going to support to all the stakeholders for the organizations. It's not about only for the learning and development organizations, but across that organizations, even for the extended ecosystems who are part of your organizations, who are part of your business, and those who are important as well. So why the corporate learning market right now is basically important? Because that 94% of learning professionals report to change their learning and development strategy in response to their COVID-19 situations. And 90% organizations will have adjusted their project plan, delayed product or services release, lack of their right skills within the organizations. And across the globe, that entire learning market is $390 billion USD. 71% of experience have experienced an increase of digital learning to the end user because that business model is changing. And the most important part is that 54% of the employees across the globe actually will need to reskill and upskill by 2020 to be aligned with the business changes happening, to contribute to the business. So that is very important point. So these are the different drivers actually changing that learning culture or the corporate learning marketplace, right? So in that context, if we talk about the post-pandemic, pre-pandemic situations, before pandemic, that online learning investment was relatively limited, because that time, all that employees actually preferred to sit into the face-to-face classroom training, and they are able to train and gain that new skills, capabilities to perform their job. But because of this pandemic, the situation is changing, right? But before pandemic, if we talk about that entirely face-to-face learning was the first priority for all the organizations. Then there was a blended learning culture, and some of the organizations actually empowered the entire learning culture to their users or the employees. So if we talk about the before pandemic, the classroom groups is 42%, learning to one-to-one, the coaching, mentoring, and that percentage of that is 22%. Learning on their own was only 8%. And online learning was basically 13%. And virtual classroom and virtual learning was only 66%, 6%. So basically that was the situations when we hit the pandemic. Before pandemic, that was the situations. So now, if we talk about that, the pandemic situations, that workplace learning had changed since the pandemic. The proportion of business, 94% have changed their learning and development strategy. 59% think their adoptions of digital learning is immature. So there is a lot of scope for every organizations to adoptions of digital learning, and empowering the users is huge. and 21% has implemented a new digital learning solution, which means there is a lot of scope for transforming the workplace learning culture in a better way, right? To address the business need, actually there is a lot of scope for improving the learning and development culture and delivering of the learning for reskilling and upskilling for the future need of the organizations. So now if we talk about the pandemic situations and post-pandemic, the work culture is changing, so demand of digital learning is increasing. So there are 82% are higher demand in digital learning. And this is 82% is the business stakeholders and the senior business stakeholders, actually, they are seeing the demand for the digital learning. Second part is that the users are working remotely. They want to get the right informations at the right time to perform their job on the fingertips. So basically, from the user side, there was a 71% higher demand for that self-based or digital learning accessibility. So in that context, if we talk about the different topic, what are the demand in the market right now because of the situations? Workplace health and safety training, business compliance, HR compliance, soft skill, and others. But these are the most popular course categories right now into digital learning. But think about that when the business model is changing, that different new skills and capabilities is required to sustain the business and growing the business. So every leader of the organizations, they are thinking to reskilling and upskilling for their employees, not only for the compliance, workplace health and safety, but HR compliance. There are a lot of new things, let's say digital transformations, let's say data science, let's say design thinking. So all this kind of new skills is actually evolving, and every organization is adopting that. To address that, the learning and development organizations play a crucial role to transform their present learning culture to which is basically suitable for their present business as well as the future business model. But if we talk about the workplace transformations happening across the globe, but there are some limitations. That could be a technological limitations, that could be the organization's cultural limitations, that could be the resource limitations. But there are a lot of challenges that learning and development fraternity of the organizations are facing. And these are basically misaligned with the learning resources with the employee needs. That has happened to every organizations, that 100% of the learning resources which is curated and created to offer that learning, that is not 100% aligned with that employees need as well as the business need or the organization's need. There is a mismatch. Disconnected and irrelevant, there are a lot of organizations, every organizations, there are a lot of courses which is not associated with the business objective, and that is basically isolated in nature, a lack of insight of integrations. So basically, there are different form of learning delivery, and to gathering the data, collate the data and presentations form of the insight of learning delivery and the KPIs, and basically whatever the skills and competencies as well as the capabilities is built, it's very difficult for the learning and development organizations people. And there are a lot of pushback from the user standpoint, because all that learning management systems is basically was from administrative driven. It's basically giving that learning assigned to the user based on that compliance related, but poor user experience. The people or the user does not go to the systems, and they don't always complain. They don't find relevant context or relevant content or learning resources within that LMS systems. So these are the problem. It was earlier, and now also the learning and development organization is facing. To address that, there is a model actually Bursins by Deloitte just published today, that the learning market or learning technology ecosystems for any organizations is nowadays becoming complex in structure. How? Because there are the different varieties or different set of learning solutions available to address the specific need of the users as well as the organizations. For example, LXP, this is basically creating a curated model and bringing all that courses, all that material or the resources, and giving a more engaged consumer graded applications interface. But if we talk about that organization's learning and development requirement only for that user experience, of course, there are other KPIs as well, tracking and monitoring. Also, the content which is multimodal and which is required for the organization's culture, that is learning design space, as well as you need that enterprise learning management systems. So these are the three different categories are actually available into the market, as well as the every organization is trying to create a ecosystems for fulfilling that 100% requirement from the user standpoint, as well as from the organization standpoint. So we all know that LXP is the next trend on top of LMS. Every LMS is trying to build that LXP's features. And there is the layer, the LDS, which is content development, third-party off-the-shelf content, collaborations, comments, live experience, performance support, learning in the flow of work, mentoring, coaching, project plan, assessment, development assignment, and new trend is coming, the virtual reality and augmented reality, as well as micro learning. So virtual reality and augmented reality, actually a lot of organizations where is that health and safety is basically more important for the organizations, like mining organizations, or basically for aviation industries. So virtual reality and that augmented reality is trying to help those organizations in those industries to giving more real-time experience without any hassle. So that is the one aspects every organization is trying to move in that directions. But having said that, this actually depend on the maturity curve of the organization's learning curve. So basically, every organizations, those who are into such classroom-based training, they are gradually adapting to self-based learning, e-learning. Then they are trying to create their e-learning packages. Then they are trying to subscribe the off-the-shelf content. Then there are a lot of MOOCs providers which are providing the content for that users, for the organizations, for reskilling and upskilling. And there are different set of categories learning in the flow of work. A lot of organization is adopting that also, so that user can get that right informations when they're working into that specific applications or specific project. And then to deploy that LXP and LDS, you need an enterprise learning management systems, which would be the single source of truth for every data which you are capturing for your learning and development of related activities. And entire ecosystems actually right now is moving to that artificial intelligence driven. So the reason is that the experience of the user outside the organizations day-to-day life, the consumer-centric applications they're using, like Netflix, like Amazon, like Facebook, like LinkedIn. So based on that, the learning experience, the learning ecosystems is also evolving in that directions, and every organization is trying to adapt to their demand and based on the priority. And now we are getting a shift from learning recommendations to basically the chatbot culture. So system or technology can interact with the common based with the user as well as the administrator. So this is that ecosystems right now, that complex, but it is basically every learning and development technology providers trying to simplify this and making more appealing to the users as well as the administrator, learning and development department users, as well as that administrator and business users as well. So now if we talk about that, why employees are motivated to learn. So the reason is that I have to learn, I need to learn, and I want to learn. So if we talk about, if I talk myself, then to perform my job, there are three objectives in my mind that I need to learn, and I have to learn, and I want to learn. So I have to learn. Why? Because every organizations and industry and every job has some requirement, compliance requirement. So this is, I have to learn, and this it be first, simple and portable in manner, so that I will get that access of that mandatory learning, which can help me to comply with that industry requirement or that organizations to whom I am working, so that I will be compliant. I need to learn. The reason is that to perform my present job in a better way, to execute my current task in a better manner, I need to learn. So in this context, how do I get that access? So expectations of the learner is the accessibility of the right content or the right resources when I'm working, and which is relevant and which is useful for my to perform my job. And every employee has their visions for the career path. So I want to learn to basically grow in my career path, to develop myself in a new role, to fulfill my intellectual curiosity, and to fulfill to my current role in a better way. So these are the motivated factors for each and every learner, what they are thinking. And to address that, we need to create a learning culture, a learning ecosystems within the organizations, that every learner or every employee can get that empowered for these activities, right? So in that context, SAP is also trying to build, we are trying to build an SAP learning for intelligent enterprise. So what we are trying to do, it's not about that LMS system, it's not about that LXP systems, it's not about that off-the-shelf content or content authoring, or basically that we are providing that skill library or competency library. We are trying to provide a complete ecosystems and simplified learning ecosystems for the organizations, that all that needs, that motivational factor can be addressed. The systems, learning landscape could be simplified. That could address that all that aspects is required for the organizations. So to doing that, we have actually launched a new intelligent enterprise learning management ecosystems, which is powered by SAP WorkZone. What it does, it actually gives a new user experience platform. It's beyond LXP, not only learning experience, it's giving that user that entire experience of their day-to-day life within the organizations. That could be whatever the modalities you are thinking to adopt for your organization's learning and development culture. That could be classroom-based training, that could be e-learning, that could be virtual training, that could be off-the-shelf content, that could be learning path for curated and created by your organizations or industry expert they have created. And also it is attached to that mentoring, coaching, all that aspects what you are thinking for your organizations. And then in the LDS part, we are providing that learning engine for the content. We have the content creations tool, content of the self content offering across the industries, as well as you can curate the different of the self content and push into that learning ecosystems, and that can be tracked and monitored through that entire ecosystems. Now, the main problem of that reporting and analytics for learning and development organizations, we have developed and we are going to release that entire revamping of learning analytics or learning reporting portfolio of SAP SuccessFactors or SAP Learning Intelligent Enterprise, that ecosystems that is powered by SAP Cloud, SAP Analytics Clouds, and it has 3 different components. One is whatever that 200 plus reporting facility report can report, operational report is available into SuccessFactors Learning, that could be migrated, and it's powered by SAP Analytics Cloud. So you can create your own report design using dragging and dropping wizard-based capabilities. Second part is that it is actually not only giving that learning delivery or learning operations report, it will analyze, it will help you to analyze that effectiveness and the other KPIs or other different HR processes, as well as the business processes, bring the data and correlate the data within the learning applications. Also, if you have any learning record stores, which is XAPI based, we can integrate, or we are enabling our systems with our partner, that Waterside, they are the leader in the learning record stores capabilities. And all these things actually provide that intelligent enterprise reporting and dashboards capabilities within that learning ecosystems for the learning and development department, as well as the business department. So I'm pausing here. If you have any questions or anything you want to have to share, just let me know, and then I will just go to that second part of my presentations or discussions.
Anyone, any questions? Of course, you can unmute yourself and ask Siran, or if you have any opinions, that will also help.
Yeah. And any use cases, any problem you're facing, whatever the problem, yeah, you can.
My physics professor, when I was in class in college, which looks like a long time back, used to tell us that, if there are no questions or comments, then it can only happen in 2 situations. One is that everyone understood everything, so there is no doubt at all, or there is no questions, or if nobody has understood anything, in that case also there is no questions.
I think, Mukesh, this second part is irrelevant here, because everyone into this forum are L&D specialists, or somewhere others they are associated within the organizations, with the learning and development organizations.
So I was about to say that there is a third reason also why there may be no questions. It's just people think that their questions probably might not be great questions, or might be a silly question to ask, but that never is the case. Any question and all questions are welcome. All questions are important questions. I think there is one on the chat now. Around any queries or clarification asked by us with a service provider, and if the ticket is raised with SAP team, they take a lot of time to answer. So I can probably answer this to start with, and then maybe you can add. So I understand that this is a feedback that at times customers give. Now, there are a couple of things that you can do. One is of late SAP has announced multiple improvements to the support experience. You can actually talk to an expert before you can you raise a ticket. So even before you raise your ticket, the expert is able to answer your query. You can, if that is not possible, then the expert will help raise the ticket in the right component so that it gets answered faster. If you're not happy, you can actually request to speak to the support engineers manager to escalate. So all of that is right now available. So you can have a chat, you can talk to an expert, or you can actually escalate it to the management. So that's something that SAP has done at a support level across all products, across all services. You can leverage one of that. Maybe I will leave it to you, Siran, to add or
Yes,
add any
so
colors.
correct. So absolutely, Mukesh, you are right. So basically, what happened, Kanaya? So earlier, what happened 2 years before, the SAP actually was not that omni-channel customer facing channel we had. We had only two channel. Only one is that phone call, as well as that write a mail or raise a ticket. Now, as Mukesh said, we have enabled that multi-channel to interact with the customers with the right resources in the support team. So probably the problem is earlier one, when you are raising a ticket, the right categorizations was not done, or probably that was not categorized from our side. But right now, there are the multiple channels is available. Even raising a ticket, you can ask an expert to have a discussions before raising a ticket. And that actually reduced our ticketing, aging. Number one, reduce that number of pending issues of each and every customers, and that actually impacted a lot to our KPIs, to our support team.
Siran, there is someone asking that if you can share the data reference of source used in the presentation. So that will also help. You did mention that this is from a Deloitte.
That which one?
So just from it. But Paresh is asking that can you share data reference of source of using for in presentation? I guess he means that he wants to know the source of the information that you got it
Yeah,
from.
yeah. So so I will share these presentations with Hema. Hema, you can upload that to all that community portal, so that all that data which I have mentioned here. So I will put that source as well. Make sense?
Sorry, okay. I was on mute. Yeah, go ahead. Thank you.
No problem. So any other questions so that we can continue, or
we can continue? Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. So basically, that was that SAP's directions about the complex learning transformations market to address the demand and the requirement for the organizations. Now, there is one more factor I just wanted to share with you, that the learning, if it is silo in nature in the organizations, you will not be able to justify that learning investment for your organizations, because the deliverables or delivery of learning, if it is not attached to any other processes or the business requirement, then it's very difficult to address and justify that to that senior executive. So what success factors, the unique value propositions that you can always bring into the table, that it is an integral part of success factors or SAP HXM solutions. So actually, if you ask me, my philosophy or the SAP organizations that HXM philosophy is that learning drive the talent transformations for the organizations. How? When you are creating a goal, you can create your learning plan as well as a KPI in that goal sheet, and you can assign the learning to your employees as a KPI as well. When you are discussing the succession planning with your employees for the readiness or the next positions, then based on your suggestions or the career pathing options in the organizations, you can align that learning resources or training resources which is required to be ready within the time frame. That is also important when you are doing the succession planning. When you are discussing the development plans with your employees, if there is some competency gap, or if you want to acquire new competency or new skills, then what would be that learning or training that could be that any modalities, that could be e-learning, that could be classroom, that could be mentoring, that could be project work, that could be rotational job. So any activities would be an learning intervention. So if you are incorporating that with your development plan process, then that learning would be more effective and it will drive the talent transformations. Now, when I am just talking about that my employee profile, or every employee wants to see that each and every information in my employee profile. So when I am at the end of the month, when I'm just going to my payslip, I'm curious to see my payslip. So similarly, I want to see my the learning history, whatever the learning certifications I have done, whatever that information, that reskilling and upskilling happen in my profile, so that I can utilize for the different job which is relevant for that skills and competencies. So all data, not only that employee basic data, it should be attached with the learning history and learning data, qualifications, certifications, and everything with that. When I'm searching that learning resources into my learning ecosystems, it should not be giving me that only off the shelf content or uploaded content which is created, or any program is created by my learning and development team. It should give me that entire knowledge base which is available into the organizations, that knowledge center, that learning repository, everything should interact and give me that all that informations, not only learning resources, also that group collaborations, that people who are expert on that specific topic, that mentoring, all this information should interact with learning, and then you will get a proper learning implications of your talent transformations for the organizations. So if you are still using, or if the organization still treating as the learning as a silo, and it is basically not interacting with other processes of the talent transformations, or even not only talent transformations, even for the business processes like sales, like marketing, they also need to get that learning when it's required. When I am interacting with a customers, I just got that opportunity. When I am just exploring into my CRM, I should be able to get that right informations and to learn something when I am engaging to my customers. So it is basically the learning would be the core, and it should interact with all other business applications, including the talent transformations or talent management or HXM processes of which you are managing. So that is the trend. Actually, it started and it is moving forward. But this is basically that starting that learning transformations in the workplace. It is the DNA, and that basically it's the starting point. And then on top of that, every organization is trying to adopt that new technology, new things, and new capabilities. So this
Then
is
I'll pause you for a second.
yeah.
We have a question saying that, for the powerful insights that you're showcasing in the slide, as a company, do they need to purchase this module separately, or is it available as an existing capability?
Existing capabilities. So we are releasing that in H1 release.
Are we talking about people analytics itself? Are we releasing in that?
Yeah, people analytics. Within the people analytics, there will be a learning analytics, embedded analytics, embedded reporting, and dashboard.
Great. So anybody who has core can go ahead and use this functionality, right? And the LMS module, of course.
Yes.
Right. Thank you.
So, yeah. So basically, there are two parts. One is for that people analytics. In people analytics, there are two parts. One is the operational dashboards report and embedded reporting. That will be part of the platform. Every customers will get. If they have that SuccessFactors learning, they will get the learning package as well. But if they have workforce analytics, then that would be migrated to that advanced analytics inside of people analytics.
Got it. Then Aniruddha is asking, can you throw some light on reporting capabilities of SuccessFactors? Currently, the reporting feature has a lot of room for improvement, and
we are improving. Aniruddha. So basically, we are actually there are different last 4 years. If you ask me, there are a lot of transformations happen for that reporting capabilities. We did that different trial and error. Now we have come up with that entire BizX or entire HXM reporting capabilities would be powered by that SAP Analytics Cloud. So that would be that direction's already taken care, and we are already launched that SAP Analytics Cloud for for core talent management processes. Now we are releasing in this H1 2021 release that learning analytics, the learning reporting, everything, the 200 reports which is available into learning administrations, that would be migrated to SAP Analytics Cloud. So entire SuccessFactors reporting capabilities will be in one single place.
Sure. Thank you, Siran, for that. And Aniruddha, I don't know if you've explored people analytics along with your CE or your point of contact. That's one thing that I would look out for and try to explore its capabilities. Thank you.
Yeah. Transformations journey for further. Yes, of course, I'll share that. So when I'll share that, this basically that entire presentations PPT with Hema. So then I'll share that different link as well. Make sense?
Thank you. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So Hema, so I have just last slides. That was my last slide. So now I have another 10 minutes. So if another 5, 7, 8 minutes, so we can have further discussions, or anybody wants to share something for their journey, or anything they would like to know more in details, or they want to share their experience or their best practices, or their what's their journey with SuccessFactors.
Question. This is Mukesh.
Yeah.
So is there an example of a customer that you can share who has used some of these in ways that has benefited them significantly? Some ideas in terms of how they go about doing learning in their organization. If you want, you can also take SAP's example, but that's up to you.
No, that's
Just
fine.
share an example.
Yeah, so basically SAP is, of course, that SAP is our baby. So we know all of our SAP employees, but I just wanted to take another example. Okay, so that is John Deere. John Deere, it's basically the global manufacturing organizations. So what they did, actually, they started with success factors learning in 5 years before, and then they deployed that entire success factor suite. What they started, that initially when they started with success factor learning, they deployed success factors learning for their compliance training, as well as to give that training to their different plants employees. And then they gone through the different 2 years they took the time to create that job profile for each and every role for their organizations. They have around 80,000 plus own employees, and they build that different job profile for each and every profile. They have created the blended learning curricula for each and every job profile, which is associated with the competencies and as well as skills. They did that, and then they integrated that with the success factors others module. And last 2 years, what they have done, they had multiple learning management systems for their organizations. One for the talent development, one for their partners enablement, one for their sales enablement, one for their customers. So they had around 8 to 10 different applications, learning management systems applications, that could be LMS and LXP altogether. What they did, they just removed all that applications and they extended the success factors learning to across the 80,000 employee across the globe. And they have 350,000 external users. When I talk about the external users, these are their dealer and distributors, as well as they are selling their training to their end customers to educate them for the different uh, parts of their product. And they have launched 2020 for commerce portal, the learning marketplace, basically for selling that the same learning to their dealer distributors as well as for the customers. And they become that revenue generating functions as learning development organizations earlier. And each and every organizations treat the learning and development organizations is basically cost centers. Now that organizations, John Deere, they proved that they are independent and they can generate revenue for the organizations, and that revenue they are basically consuming for their employee development, learning technology, and different learning resources. Now they are into the process for basically adopting that augmented reality and virtual reality related course. They are working with Immerse, and they have recently launched a couple of modules of augmented reality and virtual reality enabled courses.
Wow, sounds interesting, right? From going through compliance to,
Yeah,
getting a single platform now for learning, then actually becoming a revenue generating,
yes.
department is amazing. Yeah,
Yeah,
interesting.
and now what they are trying to do, they are basically trying to implement that learning record stores for their organizations. That is the next project, and we are working with them. That SAP is working with
Right,
them. Yeah. So
great.
this is one example. There are a lot of examples are there. So basically, if you ask me, in the Microsoft, when you started the project, Microsoft has 47 different LMS systems. Microsoft now rely
Wow,
on 3,315,000 employee in one single platform, that is SuccessFactors Learning.
wow,
They have behind that they have different content resources, their own content, their product line content, they have different things, but they are one single systems, they are managing the entire activities. Now Microsoft is developing that corporate universities. They had that corporate universities
hmm,
concept, but that was not live virtual university, but that they had physical universities, corporate universities. They are migrating that into that systems. So that would be the totally virtual corporate universities.
great, great. All right, Chiran, we are on the hour, but this was
Yeah,
very interesting. But anyone, if you want to connect with us, talk to Chiran, or specifically around your learning journey, and get some additional expert advice, we're always available. And it was very interesting, very informative session, Chiran. Thank you so much for it.
no problem. Thank you. Thank you
Thanks,
for
everyone.
joining.
Yes, thank you,
And
everyone, for
thank
joining in.
you for every participant. Thank you, Hema and Mukesh, for facilitating that. And yeah,
I'll
we
see you
are.
around. Yes.
Thank you. Have a great day. Okay, bye.